about Israel and Gaza. I don't care at all. I care a little bit more about Rachel Zegler having like an underlying amount of contempt for the intellectual property.
It says Rachel Zegler hurt the film's box office with her actions in since-deleted comment. This is the exchange.
Rachel Zegler is definitely the most talked about name in Hollywood right now, but not in a favorable manner. Her inclusion in Disney's live-action Snow White remake has generated a storm of criticism. Instead of delight, the video has become a worldwide cautionary tale, surrounded by memes, outrage, and disbelief. The buzz? Less red carpet, more red flags. Was this mayhem predictable? With fans groaning and social media exploding, it almost feels like we all saw the train calamity coming. Let's rewind and evaluate this incredible adventure.
In this elite group of Disney princesses. Can you believe it?
No, not at all. It's unbelievable. I mean, I look at that girl and I have no idea what I'm looking at. It's really quite wonderful to be a part of the Disney family and obviously to join the league of so many wonderful live action princesses, but also so many that have been depicted in animation as well. This is the flagship animation that made Disney what
the internet never forgets, and it surely doesn't forgive. 2 years ago, a footage of Rachel Zegler discovered where she effortlessly tore apart the original 1937 Snow White, calling it extremely dated and weird. Fans weren't impressed. In reality, that moment may have ignited the conflagration we're experiencing now. Zegler didn't merely trash the classic, she doubled down, declaring that Snow White wouldn't dream of true love or need a prince because, as she put it, it's no longer 1937. The result? The internet erupted.
I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There is a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
Let's put things into perspective. Disney's original Snow White isn't simply a movie. It's the cornerstone of the entire Disney enterprise. It built the brand. So, when Zegler recklessly rejected it, that wasn't just bold, it was virtually blasphemy. Fans weren't just annoyed, they were outraged. The reaction hit immediately, hit brutally, and never really died down. Now, years later, her remarks had aged like milk in the sun. The internet remembers, and it's not letting her forget.
It's important to speak about her because Disney picked her to be a princess, right? They're doing all these remakes, and they decided they were going to remake Snow White, and they cast Gal Gadot as the Wicked Witch, and they cast Rachel Zegler as Snow White, and it's been an interesting casting because this woman is extraordinarily woke, as everyone is in Hollywood, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
But here's the real kicker. This isn't just about one tone-deaf interview. Nope, this debate has snowballed into something much bigger. Rachel Zegler didn't just trash a cherished classic. She became the symbol of what many feel is everything wrong with current Hollywood. The labels? Entitled, out of touch, even insufferable. Sure, some of it could be overdone, but let's be real. Zegler's managed to alienate significant swaths of prospective audiences, both online and off.
You're crying on that stage.
When am I not crying in public? It's so upsetting.
Why were you crying?
Oh my gosh, I saw the well, we didn't even see. We didn't even see, but I saw the logo and I went, that's my name, Snow White's up there, and I cried my eyes out.
Just look at the widespread accounts concerning Zegler's internet behavior. She has a wonderful ability for stirring the pot, whether it's expressing harsh political opinions or digging deeper into what many consider cringeworthy self-promo. One remarkable moment? A photo of her sitting alone in an empty cinema, proudly claiming she'd gone to see her own movie solo. Meant to be sweet? Maybe. But to the internet, it screamed self-absorbed and, let's be honest, a little odd. Cue the memes, the mockery, and a rush of comments accusing her of wanting it.
They have been making this film for a very long time because it's just been so scandalized. It's been, and so they had to basically put it on ice after people were firstly outraged by Rachel Zegler speaking ill about the prior film.
Now, let's chat about Zegler's goal to reinvent Snow White as a feminist symbol. Let's be clear, updating a classic to fit fresh values? Totally fair game. But how she did it? That's where the wheels came off. Instead of giving a fair revision, Zegler openly attacked the original, calling its concepts weird and out of touch. It didn't just alienate traditional Disney fans, it straight up insulted them. And it didn't stop there. She doubled down, naming the princess Stalker and stating her Snow White would be a leader, not a dreamer. Admirable in theory, but the execution missed the point. What should have felt uplifting came across as disdainful, almost like she was telling everyone who loved the original was outdated, or worse, part of the problem.
There's been so much buzz about this and about you. What's it like hearing people say all these really nice things?
It's very validating. A lot of hard work has gone into this film, but so much love, truly, speaking for myself and also for the filmmakers behind it.
At the heart of it all, this isn't just about what Zegler said. It's about how she said it. There's a narrow line between confidence and arrogance, and Zegler has crossed it more than once. Her interview tone has often been regarded as condescending, and her refusal to confront any criticism, that's only piled more fuel on the flames. Standing your ground is one thing, but flat out ignoring valid feedback, especially when you're fronting a $270 million Disney blockbuster, that's a whole other tale.
You have to audition for Snow White, or like, oh, they saw you in West Side Story, they're like, you're Snow White?
West Side Story was kind of nowhere near coming out. We were about like 6 months away from release and no footage had been seen. And I actually got a really glowing recommendation from Steven Spielberg to Mark Webb, who directed Snow White, saying that, and I also got a text from Steven kind of alluding to the fact that I had gotten the part before I had found out.
Speaking of money, let's talk about the financial train wreck Snow White has become. Disney bet considerably on this film, expecting another live-action cash cow, but instead of box office victory, they got a slow-motion tragedy. The global opening? Just $87 million. A far cry from the billion-dollar smashes Disney's used to. And while there are many more factors, timing, competition, marketing missteps, it's challenging to ignore the shadow cast by Zegler's controversy. Fans aren't the only ones outraged. Rumors claim Disney execs are upset. According to reports, the studio raced to control the narrative, including appointing Zegler a social media manager to pre-approve her tweets. But despite their best efforts, the controversy hasn't died. It's intensified. Which begs the million-dollar question: why didn't somebody step in sooner? How could a powerhouse like Disney allow this spin so far out of control? Some believe they underestimated the reaction, expecting the tempest would fade once the movie dropped. Others argue Zegler's burgeoning star status, fueled by her Golden Globe triumph for West Side Story, made her untouchable. Whatever the case, one thing's clear: this was a blunder of monumental proportions.
Who is the fairest of them all? Apparently it isn't Snow White.
Jonah Platt, whose father helped produce the latest Snow White film, had some very harsh words for star Rachel Zegler.
But here's where things become really exciting. While Zegler has received the bulk of the heat, she's far from the sole target. The entire picture has come under fire for what many critics characterize a heavy-handed agenda, from the diverse casting to the reworking of the Seven Dwarfs as CGI magical creatures. These improvements may have come from a stance of inclusivity, but instead of joy, they caused greater animosity. For a growing number of fans, this disagreement isn't just about Rachel Zegler or even Snow White. It's about what they regard as a wider trend: Hollywood focusing more on political messaging than on ageless, intriguing storytelling. And in this case, that sentiment has turned a traditional fairy tale into a lightning rod.
We're still waiting.
You see yourself as the evil queen. You are not evil. You are not evil. You're a queen, but you're not evil. What was it like seeing yourself as the evil queen for the first time?
We did not see the clip, so I still haven't seen anything. But when I was in makeup, just like she said, we got to work with such an amazing crew, and it was just like the best it could ever be.
And just when you thought the Rachel Zegler x Snow White saga couldn't possibly get messier, buckle up. Because the drama? It's just getting started. If the first wave of retaliation felt like a tidal wave, this following phase is a full-blown storm. It's no longer merely internet trolls and outraged fans in the comment section. Now we're talking about Disney instability, industry insiders leaking tea, and a swelling chorus attacking Zegler not just as the actor, but as the symbol of the film's failure. So let's dig deeper into the storm. because this isn't just a PR nightmare. It's turning up to be one of the most jaw-dropping publicity disasters Disney's faced in recent memory.
Variety breaks down how after this tweet went viral, the studio was shocked that she would mix a promo tweet with a political statement. As a result, Mark Platt flew to New York to speak with her in person.
Here's the problem, though. This isn't simply about a few poorly received comments or abysmal box office data. No, the true narrative belongs in what's happening behind the scenes. Disney execs, producers, and even co-stars are reportedly caught in the crossfire of this developing calamity. Insiders hint at frantic boardroom talks, PR teams working overtime to cover the damage, and producers allegedly pulling their hair out over decisions that have backfired in spectacular ways. And in the heart of it all, Rachel Zegler, whose name is now as synonymous with controversy as it is with Snow White.
Everything. I feel so lucky that I got to play something that is so far from what I know and what I'm used to, and I super enjoyed every second of it.
Let's not forget Jonah Platt, son of Snow White producer Mark Platt, who added fuel to the fire. In a now-deleted post, Jonah didn't hold back, calling out Zegler for putting her personal politics into the film's advertising and claimed her actions damaged the box income. He went as far as branding her actions immature and narcissistic, accusing her of placing her personal needs above the others who worked on the picture. Free speech doesn't mean you can say whatever you want without repercussions, he said, stressing the damage done to the crew's livelihoods.
The film received backlash for various reasons in the lead up to its release. Zegler had called the original Snow White movie dated and weird and said Prince Charming was a stalker.
And it becomes even juicier. Rumor has it, Mark Platt, the producer and father of Jonah, had to step in to try and extinguish the fire. Reports claim he came to New York for a face-to-face talk with Zegler, highlighting the ripple repercussions of her provocative posts, not only on the film, but on everyone involved. But Zegler? She refused to back down, even reportedly refusing to erase the posts that caused the backlash. Talk about doubling down. And as if that wasn't enough, animosity has supposedly been brewing between Zegler and her co-star Gal Gadot. While Zegler's strong political opinions have clashed with Gadot's, particularly over their different viewpoints on Israel and Palestine, sources believe Disney had to keep them separate during press trips to avoid problems. At one point, they even had to beef up security for Gadot after threats presumably tied to Zegler's posts. If that's not an indicator things have gotten out of control, I don't know what is.
You can have that in your persona, but when you come out and the freedom of speech was to condemn the very thing that you're paid to build? Are you kidding me?
The friction between Zegler and Gadot didn't stay behind closed doors. Fans soon observed the frosty tone between the two during public appearances, or rather, the lack of them together. At the Snow White LA premiere, sharp-eyed observers noted out how the actresses avoided standing close to one another on the red carpet, almost like it was planned. Things got even more awkward when Zegler offered an ode to the film's actors and crew on Instagram, yet purposefully excluded Gadot from the nice remarks. While some chalked it up to an oversight, others regarded it as a clear snub, especially considering rumors of their behind-the-scenes quarrel.
Literally no clue to conclude that. And I love Platt's first saying, you really want to do this?
Yeah.
I love his first saying,
Right.
you really want to
That's
do
right.
this?
Yeah.
I love
Even more fuel to the fire. Variety says that Disney executives were in full crisis mode, scrambling to contain the repercussions from Zegler and Gadot's differing political stances. Talks even surfaced about producing multiple marketing materials for different places to manage the actresses' differing global receptions. Gadot, a big star in her own right, apparently wanted separation from the social media issue involving Zegler, but Zegler held solid in her unapologetic stand. This divide left Disney stuck in the middle, attempting to portray a united front while privately contending with a splintered cast dynamic that was impossible to ignore.
Talk, numbers scream. People are screaming. Disney, get it together. Who is the Disney's customer? You talk about this all the time.
But wait, there's more. Disney's PR team has been in overdrive working to clean up the mess, and their efforts haven't gone ignored. From moving back premiere events to limiting Zegler's media appearances, it's apparent the studio is conducting damage management. One eyebrow-raising move was sending Zegler to Japan for a promotional event, which some felt was less about marketing the picture and more about keeping her out of the US spotlight. And the rumors? Disney may be surreptitiously taking her out of future projects totally. While nothing's established, accusations of a blacklist are emerging, with some sources alleging Zegler's name now evokes groans in cast.
Parents looking at Disney being like, what are you doing, guys? Like, this is supposed to be a place where magic happens.
And yet, despite everything, Zegler isn't backing down. In fact, she's been softly making statements that demonstrate she's completely aware of the discussion. Case in point, her Instagram bio. First it said fearless, fair, brave, and true, plainly repeating her Snow White role. Then it changed to Golden Globes winner who does hard things, which many viewed as a clapback at her opponents. And now, her bio only says Lenny's mom, a tribute to her dog, with a link to buy tickets for her upcoming West End show. If that's not a mic drop moment, I don't know what is.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. And so it's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
Snow White is running for president.
Despite her confidence, there's no doubting the toll this has taken. The storyline has evolved from, is Snow White doomed? To, is Rachel Zegler's career over? With cartoons, viral tweets, and Reddit threads analyzing her every move, Zegler has become a lightning rod for criticism. Even her most faithful defenders are scrambling to keep up with the deluge of vitriol. And let's face it, when your film is being compared to historic flops like Cats and Gigi,
a totally stable thing for her to be posting, wishing harm upon Trump voters, wishing that we have no peace. And I actually thought she wrote the exact statement, Skylar, that she wanted us to have, like she wished explicit harm.
Snow White's budget rose to nearly $270 million owing to reshoots, plus another $100 million for marketing, meaning it needed at least $500 million to break even. As of today, it's nowhere near that, making it a financial disaster for Disney. So, where does this leave Rachel Zegler? Some think this issue could end her career, while others hope Hollywood's short memory will allow her to come back. With her talent and attractiveness, she may recover like other stars from prior controversies. For now, Zegler appears satisfied to lay low.
Cast for Snow White. And of course, if you are a business like Disney, you are leaning into what the movie Snow White meant to the people that were raised on it. People like me who watched Disney princess movies when the world was okay and it was acceptable for us to dream about being a princess as a woman and meeting a handsome prince. But oh no, these big bad feminists now are telling us that's ridiculous. How dare you want to meet a handsome prince?
As for Disney, they've got serious soul-searching to do. With Snow White's weak reaction and bigger criticism of their live-action remakes, it's apparent their present technique isn't working. Whether they double down or reverse course remains to be seen, but the repercussions from this picture will be felt long-term across the sector. And as for Rachel Zegler, what do you think? Share your ideas and predictions in the comments below. The conversation is far from ended. Stay tuned for further updates.